I'm Chris Lawrence in Dallas with your headlines from North Texas. A new ordinance just took effect in Dallas that bans vaping in parks and outside the entrances to public buildings. The city council says it'll protect public health, but vape shop owners tell Dia Wall their business could take a hit.
The city of Dallas is putting people on notice.
I think people are still going to come in and purchase vapes no matter what.
But vaping or e-cigarette use will be banned in public places Thursday.
I feel like a lot of people aren't really bothered by vaping in public in general. It doesn't necessarily surprise me that they're doing it, but I feel like there's probably more important things to worry about at the moment.
The Centers for Disease Control says no tobacco products, including e-cigarettes, are safe, adding the aerosol they use contain harmful substances. Smokes and Edibles sells a variety of vapes and other products and says all smoke isn't the same.
There's definitely a difference in terms of how long it stays in the air, how the smell sticks to your clothes. It's definitely a different experience overall.
Bulletins and digital billboards are now up, alerting people to the change. No vaping within 15 feet of building entrances or on park property. Businesses also have to update their signs to show smoking cigarettes and e-cigarettes is banned.
I think it's absurd. I don't think it's necessary by any means, but I don't think it's going to change a whole lot necessarily.
In Dallas, I'm Dia Wall.
Living in North Texas means we're at risk of losing power winter, spring, summer, or fall. And that's allowed a home battery company to take off in DFW. Luke Larry shows us how it works and what it costs.
Summer heat and year-round storms. The Texas energy grid takes a pounding.
We've been out
For Nancy Jones,
so many times I can't count.
And her far north Dallas backyard, nothing compares to the deep freeze of winter 2021.
Rough week. It was 4 or 5 days without power. Didn't know where to go or what to do or whether to get a hotel. The unknown of whether to stick around for an hour or two or to go find a friend or go to a hotel. We don't have that anxiety anymore. We know we've got the backup.
The backup? A large capacity battery installed next to her home.
We have a system that detects when an outage happens and in half a second switches on the batteries and powers the whole home.
Cole Jones is head of growth at Base Power. The Austin-based energy technology firm is scaling rapidly across Texas. In October, a who's who list of global technology investors bet $1 billion on its vision.
Base is here to be the HEB or the Costco of energy, to provide you fair prices and to be a company that can be relied on.
Base charges $645 to install one battery, $945 for two. No solar panels required. The company manages the stored electricity of its 7,000 members across Texas. When demand spikes, it sells power back to the grid at a profit, a practice called grid balancing. University of Houston energy fellow Ed Hers says Base is already making an impact.
It's going to have a large impact. They're going to need a little more in terms of critical mass.
A critical mass that Base and its competitors are racing to build. Official ERCOT data shows industry-wide battery storage capacity on the Texas grid has nearly doubled in the last year, but the challenge is keeping pace. At the same time, peak grid demand is up more than 10,000 megawatts from the year before.
We don't have enough supply of power plants that we can turn on and batteries to get us through a long, cold winter night when the wind turbines go offline. For example, if there's freezing rain like we had in 2021.
The other promise of grid balancing and the profits Base generates, the company says savings are passed on to customers.
We compared a bill recently just because we were curious, and it was several $100s less.
For Nancy Jones, it's energy savings, peace of mind, and maybe a small piece of the Texas grid reliability puzzle in one box. In Dallas, I'm Luke Clary.
Christmas is only a couple weeks away and time's running out to get packages shipped in time. Scoop Jefferson is at a Postal Service Center in Coppell with a look at what's new this year.
This holiday season, postal workers will use state-of-the-art technology to help them get your Christmas cards and packages to their destination on time. And this is the machine to do that you see behind me. One of the first steps is sorting out what goes where, and this new machine called the Package Induction Linear Sorter, also known as PILS, plays a key role. PILS is new to the distribution center in Coppell and is one of more than 600 installed at distribution centers around the country. Postal officials chose the Coppell facility as a linear sorter location because of the massive growth in DFW. They already sort and process mail and packages by the millions at this facility. Last holiday season, the facility handled about 60 million holiday packages. Now, thanks to their investment in this new technology, that number is expected to jump to about 88 million packages. Still, people who ship during the holiday season every year gave us some advice about making sure your packages arrive on time.
Try to get it out, probably about 2-3 weeks in advance. You come in about the week before Christmas, you're not getting nothing shipped.
I always advise plan on a couple of weeks before, just because the volume.
The leaders of the organization felt that it was worth the investment in order to give the DFW Metro additional firepower to handle this peak season.
Here are important dates you need to know. You must get your Christmas cards and small packages to the post office no later than December 17th to have them there by Christmas. You have until December 18th to ship by priority mail, which will cost you more. And starting December 20th, Priority Mail Express will get it there before Christmas. There will be Christmas deliveries on Christmas Eve, but postal workers, they have Christmas Day off. In Coppell, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
Preparations for next summer's World Cup are starting to take shape right now. FIFA is helping each nation determine where their base camp will be, from TCU to the University of North Texas and FC Dallas's home in Frisco. Next month, teams will list their top 3 choices and FIFA makes the final decision. And with so much spread out across the Metroplex, it'll have an impact far beyond the stadium where the actual matches are played. And those are your headlines from North Texas.
Let's take a look at today's headlines from Houston. I'm Ron Trevino. A potential mass shooting at Pasadena Memorial High School was stopped just before it could happen, thanks to some people who spoke up. An 18-year-old student is now charged with conspiracy to commit capital murder. Katira Winfrey shares how investigators uncovered this plot.
Investigators say a second student is also tied to the plan, but because that person is underage, their name isn't being released. The adult charged is 18-year-old Emilio Lopez, and court documents show that screenshots from social media messages are what first raised red flags. The threat surfaced on November 24th. A student and their parent contacted Pasadena police after receiving a message warning, "Don't come to school on Monday." According to court documents, that witness shared screenshots of messages that outlined a detailed plan for a mass shooting, including claims that weapons and ammunition had already been gathered. Some of the messages include, "I'll give them a reason to hate me. This has to be planned strategically. We can take hostages to draw it out longer." According to court documents, another witness who wanted to remain anonymous shared screenshots of a conversation with one of the suspects, along with a photo of a suspect holding a pump-action shotgun. Court documents also show Lopez was investigated back in May for making online threats, but he wasn't charged because the school wasn't specifically mentioned. He's due back in court January 7th. Back to you.
It's been 1 year since the death of 15-year-old Sergio Rodriguez, a student at Milby High School. He was killed last December after police say a slow-moving train hit him while he was crossing the tracks to get to school. Since then, there have been some safety changes and more are on the way. Arco Manna has that story.
On these very same train tracks exactly 1 year ago, 15-year-old Sergio Rodriguez's life was cut short. Sergio was a sophomore at Milby High School, where police say he was headed when he was hit by a train while trying to cross the tracks near Broadway Street in a spot not designated for pedestrians.
I think we all remember Sergio today with heavy hearts. He should be here with us today.
The attorney for Sergio's family tells me they're still reeling from his death, as is the whole community.
He should be hanging out with his friends. He should be planning his future.
Sergio's mother filing this wrongful death lawsuit against Union Pacific, claiming negligence against the train's engineer, conductor, and Union Pacific as a whole, saying the company failed to implement safety barriers even despite prior complaints about the crossing. What's the ultimate goal of the lawsuit?
It's to hold corporations like Union Pacific accountable. You know, they have the means to make communities safer, and it shouldn't have to take a tragedy like this to try to get some action.
In the year since Sergio's death, some safety measures have been put in place, including a permanent fence designed to prevent students from crossing the train tracks outside the sidewalk area. Earlier this year, state lawmakers secured $10 million for a pedestrian bridge at the train crossing where Sergio was hit that would allow students to avoid the tracks entirely. State Senator Carol Alvarado tells KHOU 11 that the bridge is expected to break ground next summer and should be finished before the end of 2026. Houston City Council member Joaquin Martinez, who represents the area, tells me the swift progress of the project is a good sign.
What does that timeline mean to you for your constituents in that area?
Normally, these projects don't go that quickly, I would first say. And so there's been a priority in ensuring that we do see this project move a lot quicker.
The Texas Department of Transportation, which will oversee construction of the project, tells me the bridge will be named in Sergio's honor. Right now, its design phase is almost completed.
I think it's a step forward, and it means that Sergio's memory is helping make communities safer.
Again, that was Orko Manna reporting. In a statement, HISD says they're working with the City of Houston to look into more long-term safety improvements, including railroad safety training and education. Elsewhere in the news now, people in the White Oak Bayou area are saying there's been an uptick in coyote sightings. Some say they've seen more of the animals since a massive freeway project started there. Jason Miles takes a closer look.
Animal encounters along White Oak Bayou were nothing new for avid walker Raven Hurst.
I mean, nothing out of the ordinary, birds and squirrels mostly.
But she is somewhat surprised that a KHOU 11 viewer snapped this photo of a coyote along the very same trail.
Is it good that the man who took this picture said this coyote was, in his words, kind of chill?
No, because that means there's a level of comfort, and they don't know that I'm not uncomfortable, like I'm uncomfortable. So it's just like, what do you do in those situations? How are you supposed to respond?
The viewer's photo was taken in this exact spot around 5:30 Monday evening. Around dawn and dusk are when urban coyotes in particular are said to be the most active.
It's very common to see them. They live in and amongst where we dwell all the time.
AAAC wildlife removal owner Brian Moss says coyotes commonly stick close to waterways for food. But in this case, neighbors say they've noticed more of them north of the bayou since the I-10 reconstruction project began. They also tell me a stand of trees where coyotes were known to live south of the bayou no longer exists.
It causes them to pivot, to adapt to what they're living in. So if you take out their home, they just find a new home. Their new home may be under someone's back deck in their backyard.
Like other experts, Moss says you should pick up any small dogs or cats immediately if you encounter a coyote like this, then make loud noises and slowly back away.
They generally will run off and go a different direction and hide.
Again, that was Jason Miles reporting. Well, a Houston Galleria staple is getting ready to serve its final meal. After 21 years, the Grand Lux Cafe will close early next year. It's a landmark that's hard to miss along Westheimer. The Cheesecake Factory, its parent company, says after a review, they had to make the hard decision to close, and they're helping employees transition to other opportunities. Their final meal set for January 24th. That's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Ron Trevino.
Hello, it's Bill Taylor, Texas News Now weather, and we'll start, not a meteorologist, but sometimes a radiologist as we take a look at the X-ray of the atmosphere. I love water vapor. Shows you where the moisture is, where the dryness is in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere. And you can see a lot of action off to the north rolling out of the Rockies, but then it comes to a halt for Texas because we've got some pretty good dry air building in. This is going to be a little weak front that slides through the state, not going to be an Arctic punch of air, but you can see the little wind shift right in there. And we'll definitely see some drier air building in for midweek. So expect things to pretty much remain the same. No big weather changes, as a lot of the action will stay north and out towards the Great Lakes for the next couple of systems. Now you can see things changing for us over the weekend, heading into next week. Let me roll that again and you'll see what I'm talking about. As we're expecting the jet to throw in a few little upper level disturbances. So here's Saturday. But once we get to Sunday, Monday time frame, even into Tuesday, we're expecting statewide rain chances for Texas, and we definitely need them. We've got a good amount of drought condition. Let's see where this rain is going to be setting up. Now, again, through the weekend, at least the first half, we should be staying pretty dry. But as we get into, say, Friday night, 10 o'clock, East Texas looks to get some light rain between Houston and Dallas up towards about Tyler, maybe clipping Waco and the I-35 corridor between San Antonio and Austin. Then things fill in a little bit more, but it's really staying in East Texas as far as any rain chances the first half of the weekend. Once we get into Sunday, Monday, now things change a little bit, covering a little bit more area of deep South Texas with some rain chances as we get into Sunday and Monday time frame. Now, that's where we need the rain the most. I mean, if you look at the state drought condition right now, there's a huge hole for North Texas. Most central counties are in good shape, not even showing yellow, which is abnormally dry. That's not even drought. But then look at South Texas and these pockets of extreme drought west of Houston, right over San Antonio and parts of the Texas Hill Country, and then deep South Texas, another pocket of extreme. We even get to exceptional once you get out towards Big Bend. So there's definitely a need for rain across the state of Texas, but most of it is from Austin southwards towards Brownsville. Now, with all the action staying north with that jet stream and a lot of the weather, so is the cold. This is going to be a mild December, and even heading into Christmas, we're not expecting a big change on temperatures. Although, man, look at this, single-digit temps from Minneapolis, Bismarck, Chicago, a pair of 2s on Saturday. So, again, a lot of the cold air is going to be parked up to the north, along with a lot of the weather. So the extended forecast now. Across the great state of Texas, lots of sunshine Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can start seeing some clouds building, a little bit cooler in Dallas, but even mid-60s. We won't see colder air till Sunday. At the beginning of next week, look at Dallas, a high of only 52, and then some pretty good rain chances at Corpus Christi, 75. High of only 49, Texas Panhandle for Lubbock, and then 81 at McAllen. So you can see quite a difference with rain chances at McAllen. And some rain chances to begin next week. But for the meantime, lots of sunshine and staying pretty dry. For Texas News Now Weather, I'm Bill Taylor.
I'm Adrian Carbajal. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. A military magistrate judge has ordered that former Dr. Blaine McGraw remain in pretrial confinement. Fort Hood shared the update Tuesday afternoon. A judge had 7 days from his initial detainment to decide whether or not to keep him in custody. The judge found McGraw had violated conditions of liberty imposed by his commander. McGraw is accused of secretly recording OBGYN exams of hundreds of women while working at the Darnell Medical Center. He will remain at the Bell County Jail. Attorneys for survivors at National Trial Law released a statement about the case Tuesday. It reads, quote, "The criminal prosecution is an important step to make sure Dr. McGraw can never harm another patient, but it doesn't answer why the Army allowed him to keep abusing women under its watch. Our civil case will hold the Army accountable for protecting a predator instead of his patients and to compensate the women for the harm and damage the Army caused." A Killeen Counseling Center is now offering a safe space for survivors of military sexual trauma. This comes as over 100 women have come forward with allegations of sexual misconduct against suspended Fort Hood OBGYN Major Blaine McGraw. Our reporter Juliana Jackson has the story.
Shield of Sisters has created a safe space for survivors of military sexual trauma at Restorative Hope Sanctuary. This space was also created for former patients of suspended Fort Hood OBGYN Major Blaine McGraw to go to as his case continues.
So we wanted them to have a place that they could come and actually say how they felt
or even process the information.
It's open Mondays and Tuesdays from 9 to 5. No appointment, no paperwork, no cost.
It took a long time for me to heal, and I'd like to see them heal a lot quicker than I did.
Trained battle angels, who are themselves survivors, provide peer support.
And I let them cry, laugh, talk, whatever they need to do, but I'm really there to make sure they know that they are believed, that they are heard.
Multiple law firms now represent over 100 plaintiffs who were former patients of suspended Fort Hood OBGYN Major Blaine McGraw. Shield of Sisters says they're listening to active duty members, veterans, spouses, family members nationwide. Joe Harrison, who's worked with military sexual trauma survivors for years, says she's seen systematic failures in how the military handles sexual trauma.
It needs to be paid attention to. And then the help, you know, not just trying to make sure that it doesn't happen, but when it does happen, to not ignore it.
Their message to survivors is clear.
The help is there, and you have people on your side to help you to get through this.
Juliana Jackson, 6 News.
History meets the holidays in Valley Mills this Saturday. The 3rd annual Polar Express experience is planned to create Christmas magic in the small town, and anchor Lindsay Littman shows us why it's more than just festive fun.
The magic of the season starts with one word: believe.
This season, it's about coming together. As a town, coming together, it's nice. Inviting your friends, the kids coming with their friends. Sweet to see, it's sweet to be a part of.
My dad's the conductor. Wren and her mother, Tammy Jo Whitmire, are organizers of the Polar Express experience in the small town of Valley Mills.
You get your ticket punched by the conductor, and you can take a picture with the conductor. Then you get on, and there's hot cocoa dancers, and they bring out cookies and hot chocolate, and you listen to the whole book, and then Santa comes in and he gives you your belief bell.
The town exists because of the railroad. This donated Santa Fe caboose became the perfect place to transform for a Polar Express adventure. All part of the town's Christmas festivities, including a parade.
It starts at 6:30, and then it comes down Highway 6, and then it comes here to Santa Fe Park, and we'll have vendors.
Yep, there's vendors for your last minute Christmas shopping, and then there's entertainment.
New this year is Santa's magical elevator that takes riders to the North Pole. An idea Tammy Jo got from TikTok.
It's an immersive animation video, 360. We're the first in Central Texas to have anything like this.
Family, friends, and neighbors are all invited to come aboard.
It sounds like a Hallmark movie.
It is kind of like a Hallmark movie. It really is.
In Valley Mills, Lindsay Littman, 6 News.
It's all happening for this Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
I'm Henry Ramos, and this is the news in San Antonio. Nearly a year later, a grieving family is still pleading for answers. Their 1-year-old daughter, alongside her teacher, were killed in a crash outside a daycare. At the time, investigators say the driver appeared to be experiencing a medical episode. Now we know that driver has been cleared of all charges. However, as Megan Reina reports, the girl's parents say they weren't given that update.
She was an angel. She was literally what every dad wants their daughter to be. She just loved everything cute, and just very hard to, think that she's not around anymore.
People and Ronnie and his wife have no closure. It was around this time last year they would be spending their last moments with their 1-year-old daughter, Micaiah.
We did not even empty her closet yet. We have everything that she used to play with.
Ronnie says they still don't know exactly what happened back on December 19th, 2024, outside Montessori Plus Daycare in Fair Oaks. Investigators say a driver, appearing to experience a medical episode, crashed into a car, then into a fenced play-in area. Micaiah and her teacher, Alexia Rosales, were killed.
We still, have a lot of questions on the truth behind the driver's condition on that day.
He says their attorney has been requesting a meeting with investigators. He wants to know what exactly they examined to determine it was truly an accident. He added they have seen one surveillance clip of the actual crash, but it didn't provide them clarity.
I will be more than happy to meet with them and just find out what happened, what happened during that day, what happened to my daughter, just to get information, to get some closure.
Until then, he says they're doing their best to cope with the grief and reality that their daughter is no longer here.
We just need the truth, and that's it.
Megan Reyna, KINS 5.
And after the interview, we contacted the Bexar County Sheriff's Office again, and deputies insist that both of the victims' families were notified on the status of the investigation. In other news, we are learning the name of the 4-year-old boy who died after being shot in his own home on Monday. The medical examiner identified him as Josiah Cabral. His death has left a somber mood in the neighborhood as people want to learn more about what happened. Here's Sue Kalberg.
Police were called here to Windstone Creek yesterday afternoon for a shooting. Setting the scene for you, it's just inside Loop 1604 near Bandera. This neighborhood is called Bronze Farm. So even though the medical examiner has released the name of the little boy who died, we are still waiting for a ruling on his manner of death. There's a couple of choices. It could be ruled an accident or it could be ruled a homicide. But it's important to keep in mind, homicide doesn't have any connection to a murder charge. There's no implication of intent or guilt that comes with that ruling. Now, yesterday, San Antonio police said the boy's mom and dad were in the house at the time and they were taken in for questioning. But police say no charges have been filed at this time. We did ask SAPD for calls for service here, trying to learn whether there had been previous problems. And until yesterday, the list of police calls that they provided, there were only 4 calls dating back to April of last year. And we asked for those cases, and 3 of them were on the same day, and all of them said the exact same thing, that somebody called about a problem with a relative, but when police got here, there was nobody here causing a problem, and they knocked on the door and nobody answered. So essentially, we don't have any information about previous problems here. Now, we're still waiting to learn more also about the folks who live here that were home at the time. As this situation develops and we learn more, we will of course share it across all our platforms. In Northwest San Antonio, Sue Kalberg, KINS 5.
New evidence in a case involving a former Harper ISD teacher has led to his rearrest. Pedro de Luna III was initially arrested and accused of recording a 15-year-old girl earlier this month. Rania Kaur breaks down the new charges.
Pedro de Luna III was initially arrested for recording a 15-year-old off campus, but now there's new video on campus involving more students. De Luna was initially arrested on December 1st. Harper ISD says an invasive visual recording of a 15-year-old was found. It was taken off campus and outside of school hours. The sheriff's office says it's now found invasive videos of several young girls on a digital cloud storage taken from a theater dressing room at Harper High School. De Luna reportedly had multiple recordings in his digital cloud storage. He was rearrested last Friday on new charges. He's facing 3 counts of invasive visual recording and 3 counts of possessing/producing certain visual material depicting a child. Sheriff Chris Ayala wrote in a statement, quote, "At this time, I would ask we respect the victims and their families. We will always do our best to release information in the highest respect to all victims." It goes on to say the Gillespie County Sheriff's Office CID investigators will reach out to the parents of all those who may be affected in this investigation. De Luna initially bonded out after the first arrest. His new bond, with all the additional charges, is now set at $350,000. The sheriff's office says more charges could be filed. We'll continue to keep you updated. Rania Kaur, KINS 5.
A milestone for the San Antonio Food Bank. The nonprofit is breaking a record. 4 million pounds of produce have been raised to feed families this holiday season. This is part of the Harvest from the Heart campaign. And look at this. The organization unveiled this holiday display at the food bank warehouse. It was built from fruits and vegetables. Here's how this year's harvest will help local families.
See, these farms that have a tradition of growing great vegetables, growing a little bit extra so that families here in South Texas have access to the fruits and vegetables that they grow, it just makes it special. And so we want everybody to have a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season. And that's made possible when you know that you've got food on the table.
By the way, H-E-B is the largest contributor. They also got help from dozens of regional farmers and produce vendors. And that is the news in San Antonio.
I'm Mike Gillespie in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's making news in South Texas. With a critical deadline approaching, there's new momentum and new money behind South Texas' push to secure water. Ryan Hopper shows us how state funding and new projects could buy communities across the coastal bend just a little more time.
With a looming November 2026 curtailment deadline, time is of the essence for the coastal bend. But the state of Texas has given the region about 46 million reasons to be less pessimistic about the situation.
The state essentially picked up the tab for some of our emergency water projects, so it wouldn't affect every single one of you, the ratepayer.
That's State Representative Denise Villalobos, who helped secure $46 million in funding for wells on the Nueces River and an expansion to the Mary Roads pipeline.
And now the city of Corpus Christi has more time to develop even more projects, get them on the books, get them on the ground, get them implemented into our water system to help push that date back even more.
But there could be even more wells coming to the region courtesy of the Seven Seas Water Group and the South Texas Water Authority, who County Commissioner John Mares says is trying to find a suitable site in western Nueces County.
I think the location was part of the issue, so there is some options that are closer to the transmission line and closer to the O.N. Stevens site in Corpus Christi. So I think that will help reduce the cost for everyone, and which will help with the cost of water.
Wells are all well and good, but local leaders say Inner Harbor desalination with a Spanish contractor called Acona can also be part of the solution.
But they build them all over the world. They have a good reputation. They know what they're doing. They have local consulting groups that I think will have best interests in Corpus Christi. So I'm supportive of the Acciona project. I hope that it comes back with a number that we can all live with and we can move forward.
Well, beach parking permits for 2026 are already for sale in Corpus Christi, but this may be the last time you pay just $12 for them. Lexus Green breaks down why the cost of visiting area shores could soon go up.
They are currently $12. That is correct, and they've been that way for 18 to 20 years.
Jonathan Atwood with the city's Parks and Rec Department says that inflation has led them to consider a price increase to $20 beginning in 2027, and that the decision isn't theirs alone.
So at this point, we're currently consulting with the city of Port Aransas and Nueces County, working on an agreement because we all use the same permit. This also has to be approved by the state of Texas.
Speaking of our county beaches, Scott Cross, who oversees them, says the process will take time as all three governments come to a mutual agreement.
And all that revenue that comes from that beach parking sticker, we're mandated by the state. That money has to go into an account. It can't be commingled with any other operational funds and has to be dedicated to beach-related services.
City records show that last year, more than 273,000 permits were sold, bringing in over $3.1 million. An $8 increase could generate an estimated $240,000 more each year.
It's the daily maintenance operations of the beach, so picking up all the trash, the maintaining of the beach, the drive lanes. Per the state, we're required to maintain a drive lane on the beach. Okay. It also pays for lifeguards, so our beach rescue.
Atwood says these funds can also go towards future projects like facilities and bathrooms. And for avid beachgoers like Nathan Churchill, he's going to continue to make sure he's beach legal by purchasing the yearly permit.
I mean, compared to other beach cities, right? I mean, it's a small price, man, to be able to chill on the beach and have fun. It's just, you can't put a price on a good time. How about that?
And that is a quick look at some of what's making news in South Texas.
In Austin, I'm Mark Mullins. Some Blue Cross Blue Shield policyholders in Central Texas say they're worried after the insurance provider announced its contract with Ascension Seton could expire in January. If the two don't reach a deal by January, policyholders won't get in-network coverage at Ascension facilities in the Austin area. Kelsey Sanchez spoke with patients who could be affected.
Chavis Watson says he doesn't qualify for Medicaid and can't afford the insurance provided by his job, so he relies on Blue Cross Blue Shield.
This is the most affordable option.
So when he heard the news of the looming deadline for the insurance provider to reach a new agreement with Ascension Seton before January 1st, he worried about the care his partner, children, and partner's mother receives.
With things going as they've gone, we had to reapply for SNAP. If her prescription costs go up even $25, it's really tight for us.
According to an Ascension spokesperson, the issue boils down to cost. A hospital system spokesperson says the deal Blue Cross Blue Shield is offering doesn't, quote, address Ascension's financial realities. The hospital pointed to medication costs and equipment. In a statement, Blue Cross Blue Shield told KVUE it values the care Ascension provides and is working to sign new contracts. But the issue for Watson is if the two sides can't reach a new deal, his premiums may spike in the new year.
If I make the decision or we make the decision, then that keeps somebody, profitable. It doesn't necessarily benefit me.
And that was Kelsey Sanchez reporting. The insurance company also noted certain patients who may be getting care for things like disabilities or acute illnesses will be able to get continuing care if this contract lapses. A former Harper ISD teacher has been arrested for a second time after investigators say they uncovered new evidence involving alleged misconduct at Harper High School. The Gillespie County Sheriff's Office says Pedro de Luna III was arrested on December 1st on a charge of invasive visual recording. They arrested de Luna again on December 5th after they got a warrant to search his home. They found digitally stored recordings of female students taken from a theater dressing room. The district says de Luna was put on administrative leave on November 8th. 2 days later, he resigned. Harper ISD's superintendent says law enforcement is reaching out to families who may be affected. She says the safety and well-being of students is their highest priority, and they are cooperating with investigators. A new audit report reports fraud and waste inside Austin Energy, and a former employee faces criminal charges for it. An Austin Energy audit found between 2017 and 2023, former facility service specialist Mark Ibarra allegedly used a city credit card to charge $980,000 to fake vendors tied to him and his family. Auditors blame the utility's inefficient purchasing controls for failing to catch this earlier. Ibarra worked for the city from 2014 until this past October. He faces a first-degree felony theft charge. In a statement, an Austin Energy spokesperson called this a breach of trust, writing, quote, "This individual's illegal conduct does not reflect the values or integrity of Austin Energy or the city of Austin, and we recognize the gravity of this situation and the impact it has on public trust." The utility says it's updating its purchasing procedures to prevent future misconduct. Some Central Austin neighbors are pushing back on Austin ISD's plan to sell the former Rosedale Elementary campus to a developer. That old facility on 49th Street could become an apartment complex. Residents worry the project could change the character of their community. Brianna Perez explains.
Quiet streets, kids playing outside, and neighbors out for a walk. Residents say those are some of the things they love about the Rosedale neighborhood, and they fear it could disappear if a proposed 6-story building moves in.
It'd be nice to be able to get to sleep at night. I'm not sure that's you can't walk the streets. It would be like living downtown.
The new development would replace the former Rosedale Elementary School, which Austin ISD is working to sell to housing developer OHT Partners. The plan calls for 435 units and a parking garage. With a $19 million budget deficit, AISD says the sale is necessary.
The old Rosedale School hasn't been active since 2022. Since then, neighbors say it's a place they come gather and walk their dogs. But according to AISD, if it doesn't get to sell this old property to bring in new revenue, the new budget shortfall could rise to $45.7 million.
Daryl Lazar, who's lived in the neighborhood for 50 years, says the project could bring more traffic.
It doesn't solve their financial problems. They're much larger than that. This is a Band-Aid, and it's an open wound for the community.
The district has now sued property owners in the area. In the lawsuit, they say they want a judge to confirm that the proposed development complies with rules about how the land can be used.
There are so many opportunities for collaboration,
And it's bizarre to me how we ended up here.
In a statement, an AISD spokesperson said in part, quote, "We understand that many in the Rosedale neighborhood hoped for a different outcome, and selling the property is disappointing to many. We share that sense of loss." Residents say they won't stand down.
We'd be willing to talk to them about something that's reasonable. This is unreasonable. This is unacceptable. And we will fight them in court all the way up the appeals court process if necessary.
In Central Austin, Brianna Bettis, KVUE News.
The Texas primary election is less than 3 months away, and voters in Williamson County are likely to see more changes to how their elections run. Last election, the county ditched electronic voting machines in favor of hand-marked paper ballots. Now voters can expect changes to where they can vote. Here's Jessica Cha.
For more than a decade, Williamson County voters have been able to cast their ballots at any polling location in the county. So if you live in Round Rock but work in Georgetown, you can just cast your ballot at the Georgetown Annex on your lunch break. Kim Gilby is the chair of the Wilco Democratic Party.
It's really good for working people and the extended hours and everything. It just makes casting your ballot a little bit easier.
But that ease is cause for concern among Williamson County Republicans, who say countywide voting comes with privacy concerns.
I think the assumption is that when you cast a ballot, it's done so privately and that nobody would be able to ever access that information, but we found that that can happen.
Michelle Evans is the chair of the Williamson County Republican Party. She says with countywide voting, you could be the only person from your precinct to vote at a location. So the races on your individual ballot could reveal who you voted for. For example, independent journalists said they were able to figure out who former Texas Republican Party Chair Matt Rinaldi voted for in 2024. So, leaders of the Wilco GOP want to run Election Day voting themselves and bring back precinct-specific voting. That's voting based on where you live.
You would have to vote in a specific location. You would not be able to vote in any other location but that.
Because Republicans want precinct-specific voting, Democratic primary voters will also have to vote at their precinct location on Election Day. During early voting, Wilco voters can cast a ballot at any polling location in the county, and Gilby says all that change will cause confusion.
You can vote all over the county, but then on Election Day, you have to know where you go to vote. And yes, everyone says, oh, it's just a matter of education. Well, if you can tell me how we're going to educate over 450,000 voters in Williamson County, I would love to know.
The Wilco Republicans plan to go door to door to spread the word.
I think that we found that an overwhelming majority of people in Williamson County vote near their home, at least within a mile and a half of their home. So this is not going to create any sort of disenfranchisement. It's not going to be confusing for people. It's just going to require some communication up front.
That was Jessica Cha with that report. Those are the headlines in Austin. I'm Mark Mullins.
Here are your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Mark Armstrong. A new state constitutional amendment takes effect January 1st. That's going to deny bail for certain violent offenses. 12 News reporter Daniela Tawada-Palashi is breaking down how it's going to impact the courts.
My thought on it is it's a solution looking for a problem.
That's Thomas Kelly, a defense attorney and partner at the Gertz Kelly law firm. He believes a new state amendment to deny bail for certain offenders might do more bad than good.
What they're saying is no matter what on this type of offense, if this is what you're charged with, no bond.
The Texas Constitution already allowed judges to deny bond in certain circumstances, but now judges and magistrates are required to deny bail to people accused of violent crimes like murder, aggravated assault, kidnapping, robbery, sexual assault, indecency with a child, and human trafficking, among others. According to Kelly, these offenses already have a high bail.
Most of the folks in Jefferson County who are under indictment for murder, the bonds are, I think most of them are about $1 million.
JPs like Ben Collins believe this amendment is necessary to keep Texas safe.
We've been asking for this for years. It sends a message to the community that the safety of our community is a top priority.
Judge Collins says the amendment will be a wake-up call for repeat or first-time offenders.
Hope it sends a message that this is the consequences of what could happen and give them something to think about.
Kelly thinks while a noble idea, it could worsen our jail system.
It seems like an unnecessary increase to the jail population when you're not solving a problem. Really popular on paper, but in its effect is going to have a significant burden on the system.
And that was Daniela Tabuada-Palau reporting that constitutional amendment here in Texas goes into effect January 1st. A business owner was arrested during a drug bust Friday in Silsbee. 40-year-old Brian Curtis, he was arrested at a barn dominium on Cooks Road. Now inside of there, it's a part business, part residence. Investigators, they found more than 50 pounds of marijuana along with several other types of drugs, cash, and guns. One of those guns was even reported stolen from another law enforcement agency. Curtis, he's facing at least 8 charges and is being held on bonds totaling more than $1 million. 2 people from Jefferson County are facing the possibility of life in federal prison after being indicted on drug trafficking charges. Federal prosecutors say 34-year-old Staran Brocado of Nederland and 47-year-old John Wayne Brooks of Port Neches, they conspired to distribute more than 50 grams of meth between September and November of this year. Both were indicted by a federal grand jury. Jasper County is coming together to help a nonprofit. Loving Hearts Animal Society wants to open a spay and neuter clinic. Its goal is to decrease the number of stray animals. 12 News reporter Ebony Coleman, she spoke to the founder, who says it's become a big problem in the county.
Josie Weintraub tells me they have been working to open a spade and neuter clinic for 3 years, and they are even closer to their goal after the community helped raise more than $8,000 this past weekend.
We're seeing more than just this fundraising event. We're seeing people.
With a little paint and equipment, this space will soon be home to the Kayla Memorial Humane Services Clinic in Beech Grove. They will offer spade and neutering services along with rabies vaccines. The facility will be ran by Josie Wintraub's nonprofit, Loving Hearts Animal Society.
Our goal is not to be competition to the local area vets. Our goal is to supplement what they do and provide services that people can't afford in order to stop unwanted pet pregnancies.
The clinic will be inside the former Beech Grove Veterinarian Clinic. It was owned by late veterinarian Dr. John Kayla. After his passing, his family offered the space to the nonprofit.
This clinic building, which has already some of the surgical equipment like the surgery table here, the lights, it came about in such a serendipitous way that we view it as a sign.
Jasper County Sheriff Chuck Havert hopes the facility will ease the burden on deputies who often had to respond when animals are left on the side of the road.
Our guys need to be in the neighborhoods and our schools. It takes a lot of our time and it taps our resources almost daily. This will really help us a lot.
Over the weekend, people came from all over Southeast Texas to raise more than $8,000 for the clinic.
Public figures, business leaders, you name it, they came, and it was wonderful. We are just a little under the halfway mark. We need $20,000 to basically meet our base needs.
We're just glad to be able to help and hopefully get the funds raised to get this facility open.
Chef Havert says he hopes that in the future, the nonprofit could also be used to shelter dogs. We have a link on our website if you'd like to help. Ebony Coleman, 12 News.
And those were the headlines from Southeast Texas.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. An East Texas nonprofit preparing to make a Merry Christmas was visited by Scrooge. The Texas Special Children's Project in Longview has spent 24 years working with children and adults with disabilities, helping enrich their lives with holiday parties, field trips, and Christmas presents. They always keep their office seasonally decorated for their clients, but when they showed up for work Monday morning, they found that 5 of their inflatable decorations had been stolen.
It's a shame that people do this because young people that come by, the kids stop up here, they enjoy it. They like to stop out there and get their pictures made with the stuff. And it's just taking some of the joy away from Christmas when you walk up there and your decorations are gone. But we're not going to let it stop us, surely not. We'll be putting decorations back out on the lawn.
Executive Director Dan Henshaw says he hopes the thieves have a change of heart and return the decorations. And meanwhile, the organization has been working hard to get Christmas gifts for nearly 2,000 of their clients and are still looking for donations of new unwrapped toys, clothing, or money. A simple bicycle can mean freedom, joy, and hope for a child. And for one East Texas family, it's also a way to keep a loved one's legacy alive. CBS 19's Robert Ella Garza shows us how Billy's Bikes is turning loss into generosity this Christmas season.
Inside the Walmart in Crockett, rows of brand new bicycles stretch across the aisle. Where most might see two wheels and handlebars, Laura Nichols and her family see opportunity.
It's more than a bike. It's hope.
Hope rooted in the man who inspired it all. Laura's best friend and husband for 55 years, Billy.
We were high school sweethearts.
Growing up with so little, Laura says Billy's only real possession as a child was his bicycle.
So when he got his bike, it was for him to be able to get out and move around, and he felt freedom.
When they retired in East Texas, he made it his mission to give that same freedom to kids who needed it most.
And we wanted to make sure that other families that other children had something under the tree.
In March 2024, Billy lost his battle with Parkinson's disease, but the need didn't stop there. Now for his son Gregory, this is more than a Christmas tradition. It's a calling.
And we all agreed that, giving those bikes away to children just brought joy to his heart. So we said, well, we're going to carry that legacy on.
Here we go. The Nichols family has since started Billy's Bikes, a promise to continue what he started. Last year, they gave away 13 bikes. This year, they doubled that number.
Right, we're not going to change the world with a bicycle, but we're going to change that one life, if not for just a little bit.
And for Laura, seeing his name and mission live on means everything.
And it just brings a mother's joy.
The families that receive the bikes may never meet the Nichols family, yet their generosity is felt through each and every gift.
I want them to know that God is in this world. He loves them. And there's people that are still here that care.
And with every bike loaded up and delivered, Billy's legacy keeps rolling hope forward.
And that's a wrap of your East Texas headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.